In theory, constitutional rights are absolute. They don't change from one jurisdiction to the next, and they aren't supposed to bend depending on who's enforcing them. But in practice, the space between what the law allows and how it's applied is anything but fixed. Every day, thousands of police encounters unfold across the country, and most of them never reach a courtroom. They don't become lawsuits or headlines or policy reforms. They begin and end on the side of the road with one person holding the authority of the state and another trying to navigate what they're legally allowed to do. These moments might seem minor, and they typically are. It's not in the statutes or court decisions that we really feel the weight of the Fourth Amendment. It's in how easily it can be bypassed through the discretion and tactics of police officers. The problem isn't always that the law is ignored. Sometimes it's followed just closely enough to avoid scrutiny. Officers don't need to break the rules to violate someone's rights. They just have to pressure them into giving them up voluntarily. And that's the gray area where so many interactions take place. And today's encounter is one that I thought was important to cover because it showcases how easily police officers can take advantage of that gray area, especially if the person that they're interacting with doesn't really know much about their rights. Police often use tricky phrasing and legal jargon with the hopes that the citizen that they're interacting with isn't constitutionally informed, if you will. So pay close attention to what the officers say in this episode and how they say it, and see if you can spot their trickery before I chime in. So on December 19th, 2018, a Louisville man by the name of Marlo Brown was driving near the intersection of South 7th Street and Tennessee Avenue in the Louisville metro area. Louisville is in the state of Kentucky for all the non-Americans who are watching this. Marlo had his 2 young children riding in the car with him at the time, and Officer Stephen Roederer and Officer Jessica Dickey of the Louisville Metro Police Department were working a crime reduction detail together as a 2-officer unit in the 4th Division. The officers initiated a traffic stop on Marlo for allegedly failing to signal a lane change, despite the fact that the body camera clearly shows the officers also failing to signal a lane change just before stopping Marlo. And this is where Officer Roederer's body camera footage begins.
I'm trying to find a good spot to stop.
What's up, man? You're good. Man, I only pulled you over because you didn't signal when you changed lanes.
Oh.
Okay, not a huge deal, man. You got your ID on you?
Yeah.
All right, man. You can put that back away. Appreciate you, man. No, you're good, man. Like I said, minor traffic violation. There's a reason to be pulled over, though, okay? So just hang tight for a second, okay?
The little boy in the back's doing his homework. On Class Dojo.
Oh, his dad's fucking driving around buying dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been watching those apartments, though. And that's exactly the building he fucking came from, so.
Yeah. And the kid in the back seat was like, hi.
Yeah.
He was trying to do his homework.
Yeah. Mr. Brown, will you come back here and talk to me? Try to make sure you don't get hit, man. You can keep it together and all that good stuff. You don't have anything on you, do you? Handguns, rocket launchers, grenades, nothing crazy? No. Okay. Man, I just gotta ask. That'll be good. Alright, man. Step back here. Alright, man. Is there anything in the car you're not supposed to have?
No,
No?
no.
Okay. I know you haven't been in trouble in a while. But there ain't nothing in there you're not supposed to have?
No, why? Y'all want to search the car?
Okay. Is there anything in there?
Ain't nothing in the car.
Okay. You care if I take a look real quick? I'll send you on your way?
I'd
I ain't gonna give you a ticket or nothing?
rather
Otherwise,
not.
I'm gonna get K9 over here and have them search.
For what?
Just in case. I got a job to do, man.
All right, here we are at one of the most common scenarios involving routine traffic stops that go beyond just receiving a citation. Officer Roederer readily admits that he doesn't care about the traffic infraction and he just wants to search the vehicle. Now, the first thing that we should probably talk about are pretextual stops, which is when an officer stops someone for something in order to investigate something else. Some people like to refer to this as a fishing expedition, and that's exactly what it is. But the Supreme Court has ruled that it doesn't matter what the officer's intentions behind the stop are, as long as the stop was supported by some kind of legal justification. So there's nothing unlawful about a police officer pulling someone over for failing to signal a lane change when their true intention for the stop is to attempt to search the vehicle, so long as the person who is stopped actually did fail to signal. It's obvious that Officer Roederer had some preconceived notions about Marlowe, considering that he called him a fucking piece of shit for no reason and baselessly accused him of buying drugs, but none of that matters to the courts. However, what does matter to the courts is coercion, unlawful searches, and abuses of authority, all of which happened here. Officer Roederer never yells, he doesn't threaten violence, he doesn't raise his voice, but what he does do is more calculated. He turns a search into a favor, to a gesture of goodwill. He tells Marlowe, "I'm not going to write you a ticket, I'm just trying to get you out of here." But the choice he presents isn't real. It's a trap. Either let me search your car, or I'll call a canine, drag this out, keep your kids standing out in the cold while we play out a performance that neither of us wants. And this is how coercion hides in plain sight. It's not through brute force, it's through subtle pressure. And it's often presented as this lopsided exchange where the officer holds all the power and the citizen is left choosing between compliance or escalation. And that's not consent, that's manipulation. And it's taught, repeated, and reinforced as a tactic of modern policing. The law says that consent must be voluntary. But how voluntary can it be when the alternative is watching your children be pulled out into a confrontation with the state? When yes is the only way out, it's not a choice, it's a surrender. And this kind of surrender happens often, and in the same familiar tone. Just let me take a look and you'll be on your way. So that leads me to the next point, which is that officers cannot lawfully extend a traffic stop to wait for a canine unit. At all times during a traffic stop, the officer who is conducting the stop must be attending to the mission of that stop. There are exceptions to this, of course, like if an officer happens to smell weed or spot an open container, that would then give them the authority to take the interaction beyond a traffic stop. But in most traffic stop scenarios, police officers cannot just pause the traffic stop to wait for a canine unit because you refuse to grant them consent to search. And I think that's an important piece of information that people need to understand. Anyway, back to the video.
So, is there anything in the car I need to know about? I'll be honest with you, man. I'll be honest with you, okay?
Yeah.
We're out here on the narcotics detail, man. Looking for big stuff. If you got a little bit, I ain't worried about it, okay? Chances are I'll send you on your way, okay?
I ain't got nothing, but why did y'all stop me?
I told you why I stopped you.
Okay, now why y'all,
Okay.
why y'all wouldn't go in my car?
Based on your history.
Based on my history?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not. No, I never had nothing. No,
Okay.
I haven't done anything.
Alright, well I'm gonna see if there's a canine over here. They'll do a wrap around in your car, and if you've had any dope in your car, they're gonna get in it.
Okay. You can get in it.
But, alright.
Yeah, they want to search me. What you say?
I ain't trying to give you a hard time, man. I'm just trying to get you out of here. If you don't have anything, man, just
No, I don't
just
got
look real
nothing.
quick and get out of here. I'm not gonna write you a ticket for the traffic stuff. I see you're already in court for 2 other traffic stuff, so.
Here, come on, man, so we can get this over with. Yeah, go ahead and look at it.
Okay, just hang tight right here, man. I'll leave your, man, I'm gonna leave your kids in the car, okay? I don't want them out. I get you. I'll talk to them.
Because of past incidents that I done had.
Okay, man, I ain't trying to give you a hard time, dude. It is what it is, and I know, like I said, you haven't been in trouble in a long time other than some traffic shit. Don't worry
I
about it.
just had
Okay.
2 traffic tickets.
Yeah. And man, I ain't worried about it. I ain't trying to give you another one, okay?
All
So,
right, go ahead.
like I said, we're out here on detail. Even if you got something little, I don't even care, okay? As long as you ain't got poundage or nothing, I ain't worried about it, all right? Cool? All right. How are you? You okay? You're all right. You don't got nothing to be worried about, okay? What's wrong? Huh? Your dad's not in trouble, okay? Just to let you know, okay? All right? All I'm doing is checking to make sure he don't have nothing he's not supposed to have, okay? All right? Is there anything in there? Nothing? Okay. You're good. Thank you. What's your name? It's nice to meet you. I'm Steve, okay? Your dad's right there. He's all right. Is that your dad? Yeah? Okay. What's in here?
Medicine, diabetic medicine.
Your dad's medicine?
Medicine is diabetic. If you don't take it, he can get sick and get in a diabetic coma.
Yeah, okay. Man, your kids are awesome, man. All right? Let's calm them down a little bit, okay? So, it ain't no big deal. Like I said, man.
But no, what I'm saying is, y'all didn't even have probable cause to even search my car, even to even bring the K9. I was stopped on the traffic violation.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I simply asked.
And
Okay.
then you said you was gonna bring the K9. My kid was in there.
Okay.
And
That's just part of our job, man. I ain't trying to give you a hard time. Like I said, I'm not even getting you a ticket for any of the traffic stuff. I ain't that worried about it, okay? We're out here just doing a job, okay?
So now that Marlo has had a few minutes to consider the situation, he's realizing that something's not right about how all this went down. And rightfully so. And of course, Officer Roederer just brushes it off and continues to use dismissive phrases like, we're just doing a job and it's no big deal, as if that's some sort of a justification for his conduct. Now, like I said on numerous occasions, it's almost never a good idea to try to have court on the side of the street. But there's nothing wrong with voicing your disagreements with the conduct of the officer, as long as it's within reason. Course. You just have to bear in mind that everything you say may at some point end up in front of the eyes and ears of a judge or a jury. So Marlo doesn't seem to know exactly what's off about this situation, but he knows something isn't right. And this is the situation that a lot of people find themselves in during a traffic stop. Most people aren't that familiar with their constitutional rights, and police interactions are typically where that lack of knowledge is on full display. By no means am I disparaging Marlo for not knowing this stuff. I mean, I think 99% of Americans have no idea what to do during a police encounter, much less one where the cops are acting in bad faith. This is where possessing even a basic understanding of the Constitution and the authority of police officers can make a real difference in the average person's life. And I'm not trying to turn this into an ad, but if you're looking for a place to start with this stuff, I did write a whole book about it. There's a link in the description. The point that I'm trying to make here is that many people often leave police interactions feeling like they were wronged, but they are unable to articulate why. And the police have developed tactics over the years that take advantage of citizens not knowing their rights. And Marlo's encounter is a perfect example of these tactics.
can I ask your name? Can I get your card?
It's Roederer. I don't have cards, man.
Can I ask
Okay.
your name and your man's number? 'Cause
It's
this is-
Roederer, 7257. I didn't say you did anything, man. 7257. Other than your traffic violation. And all I did was simply talk to you about your history and ask you if you had anything, okay?
I'm like, I feel like I should be, because you said you was gonna bring the dogs and my kids is in the car.
Okay, I ain't trying to get on your kids, man.
But I know I understand, but I'm like, what probable cause have you check my car and I'm being stopped on a traffic violation?
That's how we find stuff, man. That's our job.
But on a traffic violation, I'm supposed to get a ticket, or tell me what I did wrong, what I violated as far as traffic
Okay,
violation.
and I did tell you that, right?
But then it led into this.
Okay. And that's how. No, you're good. You're good. Okay, and I get where you're coming from, man. But again, through the totality of the circumstances, based on number one, I know where you were coming from. Okay. Number two, your history. Okay. So that's the totality of the circumstances. Okay. You're leaving a high drug trafficking area. Okay. I ride this beat every day. All right. I know where you're coming from. looking at your history, what you've been involved in, okay?
Right.
So look at where you're at, man. That's exactly why you're out of the car, why I'm speaking to you, okay? I'm not trying to give you a hard time or be personal with you, okay?
But where I came from, I got family that stays over there that I check, that's homeless that I check on.
I don't even know what house you came from. Just in general, this area over here on 7th Street, okay?
All right, now I got to say something here because Officer Roto-Rooter or whatever is starting to throw around phrases like the totality of circumstances and high crime area to justify his conduct. First of all, totality of circumstances isn't some magic phrase that turns speculation into justification. It's a framework that courts use to weigh actual articulable facts. There were no objective facts in this situation to justify this officer's search, and that's why he forced Marlowe to give his consent instead. The courts have made it clear that a person's criminal history alone, or the fact that they're in a high crime area, does not create probable cause. It might support reasonable suspicion if combined with other facts, but you don't get to leap from this guy used to sell drugs to he's probably buying drugs right now, especially when you don't know what building he came from, what he was doing, or whether he was even in the right place. It wasn't until this point in the stop that Marlowe was even able to explain what he was doing in the area in the first place, which you would think would be one of the first questions that the officers asked him. It's pretty clear that these officers just wanted to skip the constitutional nonsense and get straight to searching so that they could either make an arrest or move on to the next victim. The totality of circumstances doesn't give officers permission to fill in the blanks with prejudice. It asks them to justify their actions with facts to prevent situations like this one from even happening. Officer Roederer is once again just throwing out legal jargon, hoping that he can prey on Marlowe's lack of constitutional knowledge.
Which is why I know you turned off a Phyllis, so I don't know what house you came from or anything like that, okay? But I know there's plenty of dope dealers over there, okay? Which is, again, why I'm talking to you, okay? It's not a big deal. Alright. I get it, man. But we're out here doing a job, like I said. That's all we were looking for, okay? You don't have anything. You let me search. I did a quick search. I didn't even tear apart your car, man. Honestly, it's cool, man. I ain't trying to give you a hard time. It's cool. Okay. I'll be honest with you, okay? Next time I see you, I probably won't even give you a hard time, okay? Because now I know you. If I ever see you again and pull you over by chance, I'll remember you and I'll send you on your way. Cool? All right, Mario. You be safe, all right? All right, bro. Take care of them kids.
Marlowe was allowed to leave the scene without any further incident, and he was not issued any citations. This traffic stop wasn't an isolated incident. It was a manifestation of deeper systemic issues within the Louisville Metro Police Department. You may have heard me talk about this on the main channel, but in March of 2023, the Department of Justice released a scathing report detailing a pattern of unconstitutional practices by LMPD, including unlawful stops, searches, and discriminatory enforcement against Black people. This very stop was among the 63 incidents cited as evidence of these systemic failures. Marlowe went on to file a lawsuit against the city of Louisville in 2024, and the city agreed to pay him a $70,000 settlement. Although both the LMPD and the DOJ sustained multiple severe policy violations against Officer Roederer, he was ultimately disciplined with a 4-day suspension. Officer Dickey, on the other hand, retired from the department before the investigation could be completed and faced no disciplinary action whatsoever. And of course, as part of the settlement agreement, the city admitted to no wrongdoing on Officer Roederer's behalf, and he still likely has his job today. Look, this search didn't happen because of probable cause. It didn't happen because of danger. It happened because a man with a badge wanted it to and used his authority, his tone, and the fear of escalation to extract it. And even when Marlowe explicitly said no, the pressure didn't stop. This stop illustrates a pattern we've seen time and time again. Suspicion based on neighborhood, consent manufactured through intimidation, and rights treated more like obstacles instead of guarantees. And these aren't isolated errors. They're habits from a culture that rewards outcomes, not processes. And in communities like this one, the process is the punishment. So what do we learn here? That legality doesn't always equal constitutionality. That officers often know what they're doing is on the line, but they count on our ignorance to push it over. And most importantly, that a calm voice and polite demeanor can be just as coercive as a raised fist, especially when the power dynamic is this lopsided. In the end, Marlowe went home, but not without being searched, not without his children watching the state intrude into their lives, and not without filing a lawsuit that revealed it wasn't just a bad stop. It was a symptom of a much deeper problem, one that eventually required the intervention of the federal government. The truth is that we live in a country where the average citizen is expected to know the law, but the law doesn't always respect the citizen. And when the people enforcing it are trained to bend its limits without breaking them, the line between legal and illegal becomes a matter of tone, timing, and who's watching. Marlowe tried to assert his rights, and he was still searched, still threatened, still forced to litigate his way to justice. And that is the reality for far too many Americans. If you take nothing else from this case, take this. Your rights are only as strong as your ability to assert them, and they're only as safe as the system that respects them. And it's up to all of us to keep that system in check. That's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed today's episode, and be sure to check out the Civilian Rights Hand Guide if you're interested. So thank you again for your support. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.